Hello, everyone. I'm Jim Garrison. I want to welcome you to this session of Humanity Rising as we explore the teachings of one of our academic partners at Ubiquity University, the Jaguar Path Institute for Shamanism and the Science of Healing. Shamanism and the science of healing is probably the greatest and most urgent need for humanity at this moment, because nothing less than a change of consciousness at a very fundamental level is required for humanity to save itself. Today is the 22nd of October. This marks the 22nd day of mass starvation as a matter of strategic policy by the Israelis and the United States in northern Gaza. Over 400,000 Palestinians are huddled in northern Gaza at the Jubilee refugee camp. They're being incessantly bombed. The Israelis have cut off food and water since the 1st of October. The plan is to empty northern Gaza and for the Israelis to set up a deserted zone that over time they're going to populate with settlers. That's the plan. So the 2.3 million Palestinians that have been already crammed in an area 5 miles by about 20 miles will now be crammed into an area of 5 miles and maybe 15 miles. As the Israelis and the Americans continue their genocidal policies against the Palestinians, which they're replicating in Lebanon as they escalate toward regional war with Iran. When one thinks of the consciousness required to engage in this level of mass slaughter, based purely on the fact that they are of a particular ethnicity, it is hard for human language to describe that level of consciousness. But we do know the pathway out of it. And that pathway, as we've discussed many, many times on Humanity Rising, is the pathway toward the indigenous mind, the primordial mind. And that's the pathway of the Jaguar Path Institute, of shamanism and the science of healing. The settler colonial mentality that has dominated planetary affairs over the last 500 years, and now we see so starkly being applied toward the elimination of the Palestinians in their own homeland, is hard to look in the eye. But as we've also said, it is only our capacity at times such as these to look the horror in the eye that gives us the capacity to find another way. Because most of us are apathetic in our comfortability with life as it is. And sometimes it takes a trauma, even if it's only on mass media, to awaken something in our souls, something in our psyches that creates an irritant like a grain of sand in an oyster that leads us from the back of the cave where we, as Plato said, are looking at the images shown to us by the governing elite. And somehow we wake up, almost always by some kind of trauma. We seldom do it on our own. It's extraordinary fact about human nature and the human psyche. We seem to prefer to live asleep in the land of illusion. That's what the Hindus say. That's what the Buddhists say. We tend to be very comfortable in looking at the images, the shadows on the back of the cave. But those that wake up take the shackles off their wrists and their feet, their ankles, says Plato. They realize with sudden perception that nobody put the shackles on them. They were just carefully incubated over time by cultural conditioning. And then when we go to the mouth of the cave and we look out and we see the world in the bright light of the sun, we're shocked at how fast asleep we were. And Plato says, for those who turn around and go back into the cave and try to wake people up and say, wait a minute, trust me, you want to go outside. The people, he said, are angered and will hang a good man on a tree. We're in one of those situations in our world where most people are preferring to be asleep. I'm not asleep. And I bring those things which are uncomfortable. Not all the time, but now that we're observing genocide consistently, and I know this makes people feel uncomfortable. And I just ask all of us to embrace that uncomfortability as we wake up to truth, because it's only our capacity to look truth squarely in the eye that gives us the strength to go to the mouth of the cave. And discover the shamanic path, the path of those peoples who've never left the earth and who continue to live in harmony with the earth. So it's in this spirit that I want to introduce Ray and Nina Christ. Ray began his shamanic journey, as he may tell us, back in 2006 with the Caro people in Peru, and has explored many areas, including Chinese medicine and various art forms pertaining to healing. Nina is a martial artist par excellence across a variety of martial arts disciplines, and they came together and they have co-created the Jaguar Path Institute. We're very privileged at Ubiquity University to have them offering an academic program that they're going to be describing today for the program that is just starting. And so we hope that everyone will welcome them and consider taking their course, because as I've said, the way of the shaman, the way of the indigenous mind, the primordial mind, in my view, is the one path humanity has to find for our redemption at this moment of delicate balance between life and destruction. So Ray and Nina, welcome with an open heart, and I turn the program over to you.
Jim, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We love the Humanity Rising podcast and just bow to your consistency of really showing up and supporting humanity as we rise, and continue to navigate challenging times.
So yeah, you've said so much. I don't know where to start with here. I'm going to say that when you go into, you mentioned a couple of times, it is the shaman. It is the shaman, and you know very well this is what we're going to talk about. This is what the Jaguar Path is all about. The Jaguar Path Institute for Modern Shamanism and the Science of Healing is a school, and we're absolutely honored to be sharing this through Ubiquity University also. So if for those who are interested in a master's degree and a PhD, can also take that track. I'll say quickly, just so you know what the training is, or the form of the training is. This is a 9-month training. We meet 1 weekend a month from November to June. 1 weekend a month. This is a 9-month period. It's a period of a gestation, of rebirth. And the essence of it, you know, as we're through the years of having our school online and throughout the world, teaching through the United States, many years we lived in Costa Rica, now we are living here in Greece. Wherever we teach it from, we find these taglines, and sometimes it's shamanic, sometimes it's yogic, sometimes it's Socrates or Plato. We're very close to the Greek philosophers right now. But the essence is that the tagline, for the biggest, the most important tagline for the Jaguar Path is awaken the shaman within. And that is the person you referred to, Jim. It's like that voice inside you that knows the truth, that knows that I can stand up, take off these shackles, and walk out into the light. And I've caught glimpses of it, and every now and then, and I'm like, I let it go because everyone else around me seems to say these shadows and this darkness is the norm. This is okay where we are. And it takes a little work. And in order for us to change, we need to have community. We need to have support. And the support in the community we create in the Jaguar Path is based on 3 very important qualities. And those qualities are acceptance, admiration, and affection. So everyone that is in the training, everyone's the windows, the Zoom windows, is receiving full acceptance for who you are right now, where you're coming from, who you are, what country you're from, what color you are, what religion you are. Absolutely accepted. We admire every person for everything they've done and everything they do. And we bring forth affection as we help everyone learn. Jim, you said so many things and so important. It's so important for humanity right now for us to awaken to what is happening. And on one hand, it could be there's a part of it that is a political awareness. But in order to have any awareness, political or social or personal awareness, first of all, we have to awaken that personal awareness, awaken ourselves to who we are and what we want. And we all do to a certain extent, more or less. We all do. I know who I am. I know who I was when I was 3, 4, 5 years old. I know who this core Ray was. And Nina remembers who she was as a child running when we were playing. So, but there's this other way, there's other state of awakening. There's this yet other level. And this is, again, going back to what I was calling the awakening the shaman within. And I'm just going to offer just a little teaching so you get to the point of what I'm referring to. We all walk around in everyday life, and we have a couple voices in our heads, at least a couple voices in our heads that says, yeah, go left or go right. All these conversations we have in our heads, like, no, I should do this. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this for this reason. You should do this for this reason. All these conversations happen because we have at least 2 voices in our head. A lot of people say, well, I have a whole committee in my head, not only 2 voices. Regardless of how many voices, one of the voices is the shaman within you, is the awakened self that is that soul that has ventured to come into this lifetime and is living this lifetime right now. when we begin to discern and understand the difference of what voice is saying what, and what's the voice that keeps us in the dark, or what's the voice that keeps us back, that keeps us in the safe zone. It's like, Jim, you said really well, and to paraphrase it, it's better asleep in an unknown hell than awaken in an unknown paradise. We get comfortable. And the Jaguar Path is not about getting uncomfortable. But again, as you said, Jim, for me, I didn't awaken the shaman within until when I was 39 years old in 2003. I got a diagnosis of stage 4 cancer that gave me 3 months to live. And as I received that diagnosis, of course, I was devastated. Of course, my life ended. Of course, I realized that my life was ending. And when that happened in the first few weeks, especially, there was just so much chaos happening in my head, and a reset of everything I've believed in, my values, my priorities, everything was beginning to shift and change. And then I started counting days and said, so what's important, my priorities? What is on the top of the list? Who do I see? Who do I talk to? Who do I spend time with? What do I do? And life all of a sudden became very, very real. It's like the sunlight flooded my cave, and I looked out and I said, I'm 39 and I have not seen real life. And I've been doing all these other things instead of really tapping into the beauty of life and into the awakening of life, and even the difficulties, but to tap into the reality of it, this greater reality. So I'll fast forward as much as I can to keep it short for you guys, and to say that I decided that I needed to go and start to search around the world to find shamans, healers, sorcerers, any kind of miracle worker to save me. As from the hospital in Greece who originally diagnosed me said, there's no chance you're going to survive. A few months later, still alive, went to Johns Hopkins, which is considered a very powerful hospital in the United States and in the world. And in Johns Hopkins, I said, is there anything we could do? And the head of the department there that saw me raised his hand and said, you should take care of your affairs. And it was really interesting because when I heard that, the original time I heard it, I got scared. But now I'm 6 months and I'm still alive, and I'm hearing this, yes, from one of the biggest, most important, serious hospitals in the world, but it just wasn't creating panic in me anymore. I was feeling that there was something that would be different, that all this was meant to happen. So I changed my life. And I'll fast forward even more and say, a week later, they called me and said, if you would like to volunteer to become a part of a study in the NIH, the National Institute of Health, we could offer you one surgery for the tumor you have on your right kidney, which was the original tumor that spread out. And we could take it from there. And I thought to myself, well, if I'm going to die, I might as well be of some use to humanity by offering my body, becoming part of a study that could have helped other people in the future. And soon after my surgery, I ventured down into Peru. I had traveled through Mexico, had met several shamans. It wasn't happening for me. But when I arrived post-surgery to Peru, I was in front of this two amazing teachers that I love and hold dear to my heart to today. And one was Don Francisco and the other was Maestro Panduro. When I was in front of Don Francisco, I came down to my knees and I said, Don Francisco, please help me. I have cancer. I have a 2-year-old son back home in Greece. He'll never know his father. And he leaned in with such sweetness, with just acceptance and admiration almost for my courage to have gone so far. And he offered to me, he said, I cannot heal you, but I can train you how to be a shaman and you could heal yourself. And I said, let's do that. I stood up on my feet. I got off my knees, and it was the first time within a year or a year and a half of traveling, with a surgery, with doctors, with other shamans, with offering my power to everyone else so they could heal me. It was the first time that someone said, you have the power. And at that moment, and especially at the years that passed, and now 20 plus years later, I know that it depends on our inner power, each and every one of us. So the moment he gave me that, I stood up and I started studying with him. I started studying with him that moment. I became his best student. I hope to be. I'm his most devoted student. And I'll clarify again here, and I'll say a couple of things. Don Francisco has saved my life. Dr. Pinto with the National Institute of Health, my surgeon, has saved my life. And many other people. Yoga has saved my life. Many other people, and everything that I brought together have really allowed me to live and be here today. And in my third year of apprenticeship with Don Francisco, he said, okay, now, in order to remain cancer-free, and in order to keep on finding more of your power and more of your health, what I want you to do is go out and teach this. Everything that you've learned, you have to teach. And I said, what? How am I going to teach this? And he said to me, teach it in English. Teach it in English. And that is what we do. In 2007, I began the Jaguar Path. We really expanded it out to the world in 2008. And every year we're doing this 9-month training since. We've shared it with hundreds and with thousands of students in workshops and hundreds of people in the trainings. It is the 9-month training. We meet 1 week in a month. And in those 9 weekend sessions, we look and I share from my heart, from the most authentic part of me and my whole reality, 18 tools that were the most important tools that really made a change, shifted me, changed the core of who I was. And as I changed the core of who I was, my whole chemistry changed. And thus that chemistry was not supporting cancer anymore. It was an alkaline and real and present chemistry that really created a cancer-free environment within my body and allowed me to heal. And as I went back and forth to Peru with my studies with them and went back to the National Institute of Health for CAT scans and MRIs, we all witnessed tumors becoming smaller, things disappearing, and the doctor saying, whatever you're doing, keep on doing. So here we are, and we're still doing it. In the last 7 years that we've been together, we have been sharing this together with the world.
Yeah, and I love how Ray is sharing his journey of this idea of needing to outsource, looking outward for any challenge that we may be having. It's so often that we will go to get support. And I think there's a lot of power in knowing that we need support from others. However, this process for you of activating the inner innate healing that we all possess, we all have the ability to heal. These initiations, these activations, Ray shares and has been sharing in the 9-month training. And what I love about these tools is, yes, they supported Ray in healing his cancer. And for me, I was in a very difficult moment in my life, and I really felt spiritually my life wasn't offering me what I was here to do. And it hadn't manifested in any cancer or physical manifestation of sickness yet. But yet for me, walking through this path, each step of the way, the tools, and each tool was able to meet me on the path exactly where I needed to be met. And they're powerful tools, but they're gentle in the sense that you can't harm anybody. And that's one of the big questions that comes up is like, oh, if I'm learning, I don't want to ever, harm anybody. One of the beautiful things and I love your response, one of the beautiful things about this healing indigenous wisdom is that it's like eating a piece of fruit. It's going out and connecting with the rivers, the stones, with all the elements that we have at our fingertips, and then how to utilize those elements to support us when we're experiencing depletion of energy, possibly excess of an energy that's not supported, or there's some sort of imbalance. And so we really dive deep into understanding and feeling and having a heightened sense of our own energy body so that we can track when things shift and change and start to move out of balance before it manifests into a sickness. And I think this is where the Jaguar Path School, the Institute, is so powerful. And now having the degree option through Ubiquity, it's an opportunity to not only get to connect with this indigenous wisdom, but to really step into the mechanisms behind the healing. And I love, I kind of joke, Ray was that student, was that patient that is like, but why, but how, and asked so many questions. And now we have an online membership site with the step-by-step handouts and the videos that you have lifetime access to if you choose to participate. And Ubiquity in their program and supporting the degree path with all the courses that are needed to really successfully make your way through. And so I just feel, as you were talking about how the healing science, how the healing he received from the shamans and the healing that he received from the Western medicine coming together. And I feel like this is a really exciting moment for all of us to witness the educational system shifting as Ubiquity steps forward and recognizes the depth of wisdom and knowledge and the application and how powerful it is to apply these teachings, these truths, this wisdom to our leadership, to our health system, to our education, all the different dimensions of our community, of our reality, to support the human being at the core. And I feel like that's what you were speaking to at the beginning, Jim, of how can we take these shackles of fear off and step forward knowing, and as the jaguar walks in the jungle with no fear, we are protected, we are safe, we have the ability to heal ourselves, we have everything we need, and this is a time to unify in our resources, unify in our affection and our acceptance and our admiration. And so we're thrilled to be sharing this new opportunity through Ubiquity University. And
Yeah, we were going to do the same thing.
Yeah, we're both seeing the comments coming through. Thank you for for the love that's coming through. But one of the key pieces as we talk about the structure of how the course goes, we do start November 16th, 17th. A lot of times people are concerned if they aren't able to make all of the sessions live, if that's going to be a problem. What's wonderful is we have everything live where you can engage. If you can't make it to one of the weekends or the complete weekend, we have a morning and afternoon session. Everything's available on the recording, and Ray and I are available, as well as the Ubiquity staff, to support you in your journey. So even if you're doing some of this on the recording, it's not a problem at all. We have our international student forum, so you're connecting with like-minded people that are walking through the same path authentically. This is an opportunity for you to step in exactly as you are, with no expectation or prior knowledge required for the 9-month training.
Absolutely. So in these 9 weekends, we go over 18 tools, which are mostly coming from the Peruvian shamans. But in addition to, we have a session that we go into Ayurvedic medicine to understand the principles of Ayurveda and how they view healing. We tap into a little bit of Chinese medicine to understand where our emotions live in the body and how emotions work in the body, how the endocrine system, those 7 chakras they call in yoga, we refer to as the 7 main glands in the body. How do these work? Again, and we get a little geeky, but it's nothing to be afraid of. It's like we go step by step and we look into things. You won't become a Chinese medicine doctor, yet you will understand very clearly mechanisms that work in the body and how they work, and especially the whole emotional world. Because we live in those caves, the cave and the shadows that Jim was saying. That we don't come out of that because most of us are trapped in different emotions and in patterns. So what we do is we essentially look at the world of emotions, and we begin to analyze and understand how emotions function in the physiology of the body. One of the things that I realized was that the big shift that happened for me is when he said, I can't heal you, but I can train you to be a shaman. You can heal yourself.
Mhm.
When I stood up on my feet, what happened that moment was the first step of a huge endocrine shift in my own being. I stepped out of fear. I stepped out of being a victim. I stepped out of being helpless. All these things are emotions that are chemicals in the body. That's the feeling of insecurity, the feeling of fear is running in your veins, and then it becomes the whole reality. Yet it's not necessarily the reality. It might be something that's pushing you to change, pushing you to scare you enough to make a few steps. And that's what happened to me. And I hope, like you said, it's like you started shifting and changing and healing things
Absolutely.
before you needed to, before death was knocking on your door.
Right.
And that's what I feel is now the gift, and what I've been asked to, and what I have been asked from the Jaguar spirit itself, from the elder Don Francisco Flores. Whoever of you join us will definitely meet him.
Yeah,
He'll be with us in several of the sessions. But the essence is to make that shift so we can find our full potential. And I'll say this before we go and share the website a little bit, so we get into, so you understand a little bit more about the format. But I'll say this, that the essence is in the shift, and it's in a consciousness shift that comes through knowledge. I think I mentioned we're dialing in from Greece, where I returned 20 years later here with my beloved wife, Lina. And we are broadcasting right out in front of the temple of Asclepius. Asclepius is the god of healing, and the temple is not 500 meters away from us, straight here. This is where the Hippocratic Oath was written. This is where Socrates said, know thyself, and you shall know the secrets of the God and the whole universe. Yeah. And it is in that knowing ourself that we can start understanding how our emotional world works, how our endocrine system works, the basics of it, so we can understand the mechanisms, right? Because when I'm angry, when someone has made me angry, someone made me sad or made me this, watch the language. It's like that sadness or that anger or the frustration or whatever the emotion is already lived within me. And someone just went and pushed the button. Have you ever felt that? Is there anyone that has the triggers for your buttons? Mm-hmm. So it is really important to learn to know thyself, and you shall know the secrets of the gods in the whole universe. It's like, do I know what my triggers are? And I can take the trigger and trace it back to when it was born, when I was 5 years old, when I was 7, when I was 17, when I was 20 years old. What happened? Why did I make those decisions? Why did I make those contracts? And why do I keep myself bound to these contracts? A contract that I made was when I was 5 years old could have been helpful. It probably was helpful to me, and it helped me protect myself or, be myself. But maybe now that I'm, 40, 50, 60 years old, maybe I don't need to hold myself back into that, because if I'm holding one aspect of myself back, I'm probably holding a lot more. So in other words, the Jaguar Path training is about learning how to be a healer. But in the process of doing that, you heal everything in yourself. You heal yourself. You empower yourself. You find every little thing, and a lot of the little things we learn. And that's one of the big things that I've learned here, is that small trauma, the trauma that we do not address, really defines who we are. So a lot of these small things, and we're here in the Jaguar Path with an environment, again, of acceptance, admiration, and affection, with a community and of everyone holding each other with that love and with affection. In that space, we're able to look at things, take that string, find the source, and release it. Let us go, release that contract, cut that cord, set ourselves free from whatever it is we were holding ourselves back from. And as we let all these things go, we begin to step forward, and it's more ourselves. One of the things that I hear dozens of people say, it's like, I can't wait to be in the training for the weekend because I am more myself here than anywhere else. Yes. And after the 9-month training, it's like, I'm more myself than I ever was before with everyone and wherever I go. And you know what? Some people like me and some people don't. It's still the same now. Some people like me and some people don't. But yet we're all people pleasers, and we all try to get into, I want everyone to like me. And that's kind of impossible. And it's not really the point. The point is really for each one of us is to be you, be you. And those people who are your people, they're going to find you. When you, the more you are, the more you're beaconing out your beauty, your light, the more you'll meet those like-minded people, the more you'll have those people not only like you and accept you, but really love you and be there with you and rejoice and celebrate life with.
Yes.
Shall we share a little bit? I don't know if there's any questions that are dropping in the chat box here. If you have any questions, be more than happy.
And maybe we could get Stan or someone to share the screen for us.
I can, we can share the screen right here.
Okay.
There we go. Oh, you think it's better if they do?
It looks like some people are having a little bit of trouble with the video. So let's see.
Yeah, you go ahead and share your screen, but the video is pretty pixely. So I'm not sure how the screen share is going to work, but let's try it.
Oopsies. That always happens to me. I don't know how to.
Here, let me try. There you go.
Is that one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right. Can I'll go up a little bit and tell me, can you read this? I will read it really quickly, but is it clear or is it too
this is clear.
pixelated?
This is clear.
Okay.
All right.
Perfect.
So I'm just going to read it quickly through it, and I'm going to say that we've partnered up with Ubiquity University. You have the choice of taking the training for the certification alone, or also coupling it with taking the training and receiving a master's degree and a PhD degree through us and Ubiquity University. You will get support from both sides, from us and from Ubiquity University, throughout the whole program. This 9-month training offers a comprehensive certification in shamanism, blending an integrative approach to personal and collective well-being and healing. With a focus on Peruvian shamanism, the program honors the ancient teachings and cultures from which these lineages stem from, while also incorporating elements from modern science, Ayurveda, and Chinese medicine. With a holistic practice, this training includes yoga and Tai Chi to address the physical, emotional, and spiritual aspects of it. Mm-hmm. So we meet 1 week in a month. In the morning from 9 to 11:30, we begin with beginners yoga one day and beginners Tai Chi the next day.
Very accessible.
Simple movements and accessible to all, just to show an understanding of how the nervous system and the meridian system move in the body and what these arts, healing arts are truly about, and to go deeper into it. And also through that gentle movement, we get to prepare to open our whole body and our heart to receive the teachings from the training. Now, in these 9 months, we go through 3 trimesters. It's called the Inca Trilogy. The Inca Trilogy is the serpent, the jaguar, and the condor. If anyone has gone to Peru, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There is totems everywhere of the serpent, the jaguar, and the condor. And when I went there and I started my training with Francisco, I was coming from being a yoga teacher at that time. I was doing yoga after I'd shut down my studio and my photography. And as I was in that, I knew that everything we're doing in yoga is about body, the mind, and the spirit. And as they started talking about serpent, jaguar, and condor, I realized that the shamans were talking exactly about the same thing. Serpent is the body, and the serpent in the shamanic practices is where teaches us how to shed our skin and let go of the past. And in that trimester, we touched on everything that's healing the past. We look at the shamanic foundations, we go into working with power animals, and we go into shamanic journeys, all addressing things of the past so we could heal anything from the past, so we can take care of our own foundation, our personal foundation, and find our feet under us, and stand up to take over our own responsibility with an open heart. In the second trimester, we go into Jaguar, and the Jaguar, which is the heart of the Jaguar Path, of course, is about the mind. And in Jaguar, because the Jaguar is the top predator and there are no predators behind a jaguar. A jaguar never turns back to see if there's someone following. That will never happen. The jaguar is on the top of the list. So it does not have a single cell that knows fear. It is awakened, it is alert, it is quick, it is silent, and it is powerful. It holds amazing sensitivity in its paws and tremendous power in its claws. And through all the jaguar in this trimester, we learn tracking and seeing, talking about energy, understand energy. We learn about the language and how we, in our language, how we can change words in our own head and how we perceive and translate, if you want, the world in our life. And we go into our personal insight. We go into tapping into our own, the shaman within. And it is in that place in the Jaguar trimester, we really change, and we change the way we think, literally. We begin to think out of the box, because Jim said it so well. We're all in this known place, and we'd rather stay in a known place where with everyone we know and kind of be happy-ish, okay with that, rather than venture into an unknown. Mm-hmm. But when you tap into this way of thinking like a jaguar, you realize that the world is a beautiful place to roam in, to play, to get some sun, to roll up and open your belly to the sun, to purr, to hunt, to live life. And it becomes very different. The way you begin to view the world is stepping out of the collective consciousness view of the world. And in the third trimester, as we deepen our understanding about energies and the shamanic work, we go into the condor. And the condor teaches us how to fly above, how to rise above, and how to see the greater picture of our life. And in that, we also learn how we see our whole life. We begin to see ourselves in the future and what destiny line we want to draw and where we want to be in 10 years from now and 20 years from now. We begin to understand the collective consciousness in a different way and how that collective works through the media, through Facebook, through Instagram. We begin to cultivate this, I call the condor, because it flies so high. It has discernment. It's never emotionally entangled in anything, or there's no musts or shoulds or shouldn'ts. So it's like, it's free. It soars free. So we learn how to begin to soar free and find our own liberation and that freedom of our own. And in those 3 months, we go into the deepest shamanic healing tools. I always say, if I present the last tool in the beginning, everyone will run, but we step in and we take one step at a time. And again, everything that I teach in the Jaguar Path are what we call accelerated healing. I've had many people say, it's like, I've been working with this for 10 years or 20 years. I've done therapy for this. I've done this and that. I've done, nothing's worked. And in a 1 hour session, it is gone for good, gone to stay. So it's accelerated healing. These tools are metaphoric tools. They're heart psychotherapeutic tools. Mm-hmm. They allow us, along with metaphor and archetypal work, to change neural pathways in our brain, things that we've blocked and said, well, this is my only truth. This is who I am. I'm broken. I'm ruined. I'm this or that. We change that and say, no, I stand up. I am the person that was once wounded and now I'm healed. I was once hurt and now I'm powerful. And now, since I found my way to climb out of all this, I have the power and the knowledge, the love, the affection to offer this, to help others. Say, my brother, my sister, I can help you come out of that, release that problem, come out of that space, come out of that, whatever difficulty that was. Is there anything that you feel that I am forgetting, or anything that you would like to share?
No, I think just as you take a look at the website, you'll see everything Ray's just shared. You'll see we have different payment options, frequently asked questions. Here we do break down the curriculum and the dates with a little bit more detail. And it doesn't want to go there for now.
Yeah, let's stop sharing, come back to this.
And as we go deeper into the work, what we find is that it's really the course becomes alive. And that's where, as Ray began sharing this work, it's evolved so much in the nearly 20 years of sharing the work and your healing journey. And as we all kind of got this extra nudge to get online and in 2020, the training continues to evolve with the student membership site and being able to offer the tools both in person and virtually. So in the training, Ray and I, as we move through the curriculum, we do give lecture and then we demonstrate. So we really break down each of the healing mechanisms with a lecture and the kind of the science, the mechanisms behind what we would call the magic of the healing. And then we demonstrate how you can offer that to a person that you're with in person. And then also we demonstrate how you would offer that virtually with someone if you were on a computer and sharing a healing session online. And we found this to be really quite profound and accessible. And so our intention is to really, truly make this accessible. As Jim mentioned, my background is in martial arts, and in my discipleship of 20 years from the age of 17 to 37, one of the things that I found is that, stepping into anything new, the white belt coming into the martial arts for the first time, or stepping into the realm of healing for the first time, or maybe you're experienced in Reiki or some other form of maybe just naturally having a healing ability. What we found is that as you arrive in our school, we are able to kind of fine-tune those skills and give you something really tangible to work with. Each of the tools, like I mentioned, has a handout with step-by-step instructions. So you have that guide. And then by the end of the training, you kind of have the piece of the paper to the side and you're really making it your own. And I think of if you're, if you like to play music, or if you're a cook, if you like to bake, you've got the recipe, but you're like, oh, I'm going to switch out butter for oil, or I'm going to switch out honey or maple syrup for the sugar, right? And so it's really fun for us to witness the group and each of the individuals coming into their own with the tools as you have. And even Don Francisco.
I'll say Don Manuel, one of my teachers, I was going there with my pen, and I was writing and writing everything. I would ask 100 million questions. I was the most annoying student. I asked and asked and asked. And there was one night we were camping out with Don Manuel, who I didn't mention earlier, the beautiful curandero from Cusco, Peru. And we were setting up. Usually he would light the fire and I would bring some brush for us to lay on and whatever. And he said, "You have matches." I gave him some matches. And then at the edge of my eye, I realized, and I turned around, he used my notebook with notes of 2 years to start the fire. And he looked at me and said, "Now you're no one." So,
and that's why
I had to rack my brain. But that is exactly right. That you have lifetime access to the website, to the student forum, and to the membership site. So you have all these handouts that we've created. Nina has wonderfully created this whole space that you walk into, and you got the recordings of the weekend, the yoga, the tai chi, the shamanic part, the most important questions that were asked to answer, the whole all of it.
Yeah.
And at the end, on our eighth session, we do what is called shamanic healing session protocol, where we go minute to minute. You learn, we can say minute 1, you say, "Hi, welcome, how are you? How was your drive here?" From that till the end, where you're saying goodbye or namaste or thank you very much, we teach you minute by minute how that shamanic session is going to pan out, how you have the mapping of all of that. And with all the tools that you've learned, you will be absolutely comfortable, confident, with ease to throw or burn your notes. Also, the recipe. I love it. It's the recipe. You let go of the recipe. You have become that. You have become that. And I want to say by the end of that session, by the 9-month training, you've exchanged. One of the beautiful things I feel about this training and how it's structured. Someone asked, we meet 9 to 11:30 in the morning. This is every weekend, Saturday.
Eastern time.
Right? Eastern time. Thank you.
Yeah.
So one weekend a month on Saturday, 9 to 11:30. We begin with gentle yoga or Saturday, gentle Tai Chi on Sunday. Easy for all, just to open our body and get an understanding of structures. And then we go through a circle. We all get to say, hey, how are you? What is happening in your life? What is checking in? By 11:30, we close our circle and we meet again after a lunch break, Eastern time again from 1 to 4. At 1 p.m., we begin to talk about what are we going to talk about? What energy and what tool we're going to learn that day? What shamanic tool we're going to learn that day? And how and what does that heal? So you listen to this part of lecture, I want to say it's 20 minutes, half an hour about it, which essentially brings in the science behind it and how that works. Where does it work in the mind? Where does it work in the nervous system or the endocrine system? And then we share, you watch us demonstrate the tool. I will offer it to Nina, and Nina will offer it to me, or either one of us is going to offer it to someone on the screen, and you watch it being demonstrated. Then after a Q&A, we go into breakout rooms. So you and another participant get to go in together. You offer the tool, and then you receive the tool. So every tool that you learn through this 9-month training, you've learned in 3 different ways. You've heard all about it and what the foundation of it is. You've experienced receiving it, so you have that healing. You feel the healing inside you. They're amazing tools. They're amazing tools. That healing, and wherever you are, you may be in a really great place in life, it still just gives you even more. You may be held back by things that you just are freed instantaneously. So you've had that experience in your body, what that healing is, and then you offer that healing tool, and then you experience yourself how you were able to heal someone, even though they've been working for 10 or 20 years with that. In the training, the moment of your training, the first time you ever use a tool, you experience yourself have the power to offer that and to watch a person light up and just take something off their shoulder, take some shackles off off themselves.
Yes.
So that's the essential.
Yeah. So Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 4, we have an hour and a half lunch break, and it's really interactive and student driven. Ray and I do offer a nice structure, but within the structure, like I said, it becomes so organic with the connection with everybody that's able to join us live. And so it really, at the end of the training, when we get feedback from the graduates, what we often hear is the tools were fantastic, exceptional, but the people, the connections with the other human beings is hands down the most favorite part of the experience. And I think that says a lot to who's feeling drawn to this work, and also stepping forward, because I will say for myself, it takes courage to step forward and say, I'm going to learn this ancient wisdom. And yes, I'm from Maine. I'm American. I'm from Maine. And here I am learning from these amazing men and women. And I remember feeling really uncomfortable with it at the very beginning for me. And they were, of course, we want you. Mother Earth wants you to have this. We want to see you healthy. We want to see you dancing and playing and enjoying life. And that's something very unique about this lineage. And Ray and I uphold it to the best of our ability, and want to share that in our school, as soon as you are taught the first tool, you're learning it, you're working through it. It's yours to share. And there's no ownership here. And so that's something that I find is unique. So as you graduate from the program and you continue on your journey, whatever that is for you, we encourage you to share it. And I think that's something, whether you're sharing it with others through healing sessions, whether you're sharing it in some sort of workshop or leadership, or however it emerges for you or for the people that graduate, the more people that engage with this wisdom and share it, the better for humanity. This is not about ownership or any sort of boxes. I'll just say, let's dissolve all the boxes. And one of my favorite things, witnessing Francisco when we are together, and he'll be joining us here in Greece, When we're doing the Tai Chi or the yoga, he loves to join in. And when you're giving the lectures on the science, the mechanisms behind the magic, they love to listen. And so there's been this really beautiful exchange. And there's a Quechua word called aini. And aini means this equal flow of energy, this correct relationship, this beautiful balance of giving and receiving and being open and almost like looking for the opportunity to be in service, to offer, to share. And I think that's one of the beautiful qualities of these people, this culture, that we can all be positively influenced by and touched by.
And the calendar is available. I'm just going to read a couple questions here. It says, is the calendar available?
Yes.
If you go to our website, I'll type it in again right here. Visit the website right there. Click on it. You go to the 9-month training, and just about 1/3 way down, it says curriculum and dates. So all the dates and everything that's going to be taught on each weekend is there.
And you're going to also see there an opportunity to book a free discovery call with Ray and I, so that you have more time to talk with us and connect one-on-one. I see a question about scholarships. We have limited scholarships. It's a conversation we'd be happy to have with you. And it is something that we want to make accessible. This is, we really are passionate about what we do, and we do everything we can to make this accessible.
We definitely don't want to say no to anyone. And like Nina says, we have some scholarships, they're limited. So those who reach out first will get them. And what I'm just taking a moment here to find the link, I'll drop in the link for the one-on-one calls. I think the best thing to do, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong here. Okay. There it is. If you want to know more.
Curriculum?
It's right here. If you want to know more, a little further down, okay. There you go.
Perfect. We'll come back.
To book a free content discovery call. So there you go. Okay.
Okay.
So Nina, our electronic shaman, we'll put this link in there. So if you want to know more, if you want to talk to us one-on-one, that's the best way to do it. Reach out. We are here and very happy to talk with you. Either one of us, or you'll find both of us together, depending on the schedule of the day, and as is the Ubiquity staff. So you could also reach out to Ubiquity. All the information is on our website. You can click on the Ubiquity directly and find that information, how to book a consultation and one-on-one with Ubiquity staff. And they can also walk you through the whole process of how you get your master's degree or your PhD. Again, you can choose through all these three. You can choose to do the certification to be a shaman. And if you want to also, you can add on the master's or PhD.
So exciting.
We are here just to bring it back home to say that we're honored that this is brought into the universities. I come from an academic family, so I feel my father looking at me from above and being proud, because he was a professor of a university his entire life.
English lit.
In English literature. And I am just proud, and also just feel that this is the time of change, that this is the time that we need in the universities to study what is true and what is real. What is nature? What is our own nature? You know, one of the things that happened through the Dark Ages is that 3 things were persecuted: the feminine, women, the animals, and magic. And what we bring back is this knowledge that the Queros had, where when they saw the conquistadors arrive in the Sacred Valley of Peru, they fled for the mountains. And they've come out of the mountains, out of 18,000 feet where they lived for the last 500 years. They came down in the 60s and 70s and still are coming down from that to share with us what they saved. They didn't only save and preserve their life, they saved and preserved a way that existed before all this colonialism, before all this atrocities, before all this. the way of the beauty of the feminine, bowing to Mother Earth, bowing to every woman and everything that is feminine, loving the animals and understanding how we can learn from them and how we can expand our consciousness by the way they live and we can live our life, and bring back magic, which is true every moment. Every sunrise is magic. Every sunset is magic. So we'll be very happy to answer any questions you have. Reach out to us. Check out the website again, at the jaguarpath.com. And we'll be more than happy to see you there.
Thank you,
Jim.
Ray.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jim.
Nina. Splendid presentation. And thank you so much for everything both of you were doing there in Greece. I wish I could be there. To be so
Yeah,
close to a major sacred site, you know, I'm sure it's just healthy for body and soul.
Yeah, the sleep is fantastic.
I bet it
I'm going
is.
to write down
It is.
I bet it is.
Epidavros. I'm going to write down the name of the town and the temple. Epidavros in Greek means upon your aura. And I will give it back to you. This is what the name of the town is called. Upon your aura. So here we are.
Wonderful, wonderful. So Ray, I want to go back to your bout with cancer and explore that a little bit, because that's a very powerful story of healing, given, you know, stage 4 to where you are today. And you made just a comment in passing about the alkaline, the transformation of your body into kind of more of an alkaline rather than acidic chemistry. And the alkaline doesn't really host the cancer. So I want to explore that and have you go into a little bit more detail about your actual healing process and the alkalization of your body chemistry. How, as you understand it, what happened? Was it fate? Was it the healer? Was it particular exercises, diet? What was that process?
Jim, it was all of the above. But more importantly, when I stood in front of Francisco and said, heal me, and he said, I can't heal you, but I can train you to be a shaman and you could heal yourself. That was where the process clicked, where I assumed responsibility for myself.
Through your intent.
I realized that I have the power.
Yeah.
That my intent belongs to me and that I can take over. So the process is, and just to look at it, because, you know, we started with, you're sharing what the wars that are happening outside in the world, they're really happening inside each and every one of us. When you go in from a self and you zoom out, and then you have the whole of the globe and the whole of humanity, all of us together make the situation. And it's acidic. There's a lot of inflammation. There's bombs, there's fires, all that's inflammation that's happening on Mother Earth, on this other body of ours. And the essence is that in order to change, and this inflammation starts and is happening because we always are looking outward. And we're saying they are to blame. And if they are gone, then we all will feel better. And that's a contraction and is a narrow-minded way of being and seeing, right? And we've seen these genocides before. And the self-destructive behavior of each individual is seen in a bigger scale in humanity altogether. So basically, we all need to return back home, each and every one of us, stay in a room for a second and say, okay, what am I doing with myself? What do I need? What is hurting me? And so what I did to directly answer your question, and this is what all these tools are about, is that I changed the way I ate, I changed the way I thought, and I changed the way I practiced everyday life. I brought in some practices. I did a little bit of yoga. I ate more greens. I had a lot more water in and had more electrolytes, simple things that added slowly. And then I started learning the tools. I cut cords. with my ex-wife, which I had a really difficult divorce with and difficult. So, but when I cut cords, and I set her free and I set myself free, I wasn't harboring animosity or frustration. I wasn't harboring that pain anymore. That acidity itself had left. Actually, we became really good friends, and we love them and her new husband. They were just different, but I was able to tool by tool to take away emotions that were negative, or if you want, there were acidic emotions that lived within me. And we go around and we're feeling different emotions, and we're feeling it's because I'm so right. I have this righteousness and righteous anger or righteous sadness about someone that really hurt me. And I go around for 10 years saying, am I not right? This person hurt me like this, like this, like this, like this. But that lives nowhere. You haven't seen this person in 10 years. And you're still going around saying the story that harboring that chemistry within your own body. It's chemistry, it's real, and it creates acidity.
And one of the pieces to jump in, that when Ray connected with the shaman, he gave him a compass. He shared the Chicana. He said, you're lost. And why was he lost? Because he was successful according to external criteria. He was a fashion photographer under these lights, not getting sunlight, having artificial light, not sleeping, being out late, drinking, smoking, being in this lifestyle that was successful according to external criteria.
Exactly.
When he received the Chicana and he got in the center of the sacred Inca cross and reoriented to north, south, where am I in this life?
Where am I?
And that's when we open sacred space, so we all can return to our true center, which is the reference points are of nature and of the qualities of energy in each of the directions, not by this external criteria that is man-made and is kind of, I feel like by default, it's evolved by default. It's kind of, or maybe there's something else.
It's evolved by default and by fear.
And we'll just put it there, letting go of any blame or any external they or them that's against, right? And just saying, okay, what can I do? How can I come into that? And I like that you say that, because each one of us is part of it. We are in this great oneness and the one path. And
if I heal myself, we're healing the world.
Each one of us.
Now, let me ask you, Nina, because you had a very different pathway. I'm wanting to just juxtapose the pathways here. That here you were this martial artist, robust health, probably, a type A personality. What woke you up?
Oh my gosh, Jim. At 17, I went from competitive sports and thought, if I don't do something, I need someone to tell me to do the push-ups and the sit-ups. So I found myself in that space of discipline. And for 20 focused years, I was disciplined to an ancient art. And it started in self-defense, and it soon became healing and the deeper practices and philosophy of Taoism and Confucianism and Buddhism. And really what I received was a deep study of humanity and human development, because my youngest students were 18 months, my tiger tots. And then I had 80-year-olds that were doing Tai Chi in the evening. So my day, I would teach about 10 classes a day, and the span of age, and witnessing how they entered, how they participated, and how they left gave me a very deep study in humanity.
I'll just say this, because I always love when she said my secret with the kids was that I taught them like grown-ups. My secret with the grown-ups was I taught them like kids.
Brilliant. Brilliant.
The grown-ups, you treat children needed to be taught.
Well, you think about it, these like executives or these leaders would come into the dojo stressed out, and it's like, okay, come on in, I'll make a tea for you. And I'd have to kind of hold, and the kids would come in, I say, okay, line up, show your parents how you can sit still. And it's amazing because that was my big.
Well, and I think
Thank you, Jim.
Your partnership and your stories show that you can get to the shamanic way by whatever path.
Absolutely.
And that's really important for everyone to take in, because whatever your state is, whoever you are, as they say, and whenever you started, we all have the same distance to go. And so one can be awake in one domain of life, but then completely asleep in other domains. And as you were saying, Ray, really your path was just sort of to integrate the totality by animating your intent.
I love that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what the Jaguar Path is. It's one of the biggest things that people come out from. It's like, it brings everything you've done in your life, it brings it all together. It's like there's an aha upon an aha upon an aha. It's like, and what I did when I was younger, and that you just bring it all together, and that culminates to who you are today and in your personal power. We had a conversation with this other school, and we were saying, it's just like, this becomes yours. It's not, you study with the Jaguar Path and Ubiquity University, but it's you are the shaman at the end. It's your power. It's your personal power, your personal freedom, your personal alkaline.
Well, good for you. I think this is a good note with which to adjourn to the after chat. If you want to join Ray and Nina for a bit in the after chat, you'll see the link in the chat box, and those of you who are regulars receive the link in your Zoom reminder for today. And then tomorrow, we're going to deepen our exploration of healing with Deanna Rice, who you all know as a polarity practitioner and hypnotherapist and a delightful practitioner of the healing spirit. Because we are very aware that in all the stresses of our world, these kinds of practices are now immediately necessary for our well-being. And Ray and Nina are exemplifications of the bounty and the abundance that comes with people who are living integrated, highly intentional lives. So I urge all of you to take the time to look into the Jaguar Path. The link has been put up in the chat, and to join Ray and Nina in the after chat. Thank you so much, both of you, coming in all the way from Greece. Wonderful.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you so much.
Buddy.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow, everyone. See you in the after chat. Bye for now.